welcome to another video. Today's video might be a little bit controversial and might ruffle some feathers. I've been very inspired by a lot of Jeff Berlin's Facebook posts. I'm nowhere near as controversial as he is because I'm a nice guy. Oh, I think he's a nice guy too, but sometimes the way he writes, I think I can see why it would ruffle some people's feathers. Today I want to talk about why I think a certain degree of talent might not be such a good thing. I made a video about this last year, I think around this time, about the concept of talent in music. I personally believe that talent exists on a spectrum. It's not an on and off switch. For example, some people have talents for melodies, like they have good ears for, let's say, transcribing melodies. Some people have talents for rhythm. Some people have talent for absorbing concepts. Some people have talent for technique, etc. But no matter what, no matter who you are, you have to practice very, very hard. A person who has talent but who doesn't practice is that like that famous story of the tortoise and the hare, right? The rabbit is racing the turtle, but you expect the rabbit to win, but because the rabbit was too overconfident, decided to take a nap, the turtle ended up winning. And this is very true, I believe. Very few people have talent across all fields. Such people do exist. They're very, very rare. But even such people practice very hard. I'm talking about people like Ella Fitzgerald, Django Reinhardt, Birelli Lagrène, Sylvain Luc. And these people also grew up or were in the right environment to develop their talents. So there are a lot of different factors. So if you're one of those, then great. You probably don't even need to be watching this video. But if not, then stay a while and listen. If you get the reference, you're cool. The thing about certain talented people is that they're so good that some of them, in some strange way, don't really know that they're good. Or for them, it just feels like that's how everyone learns, how everyone is. So on my DC music school, I have one such very talented person, Cyril Aimé, singer. And she sincerely believes that people shouldn't have to worry about, quote unquote, the academic side of things, about practicing this lick, this arpeggio, whatever. To a certain degree, I understand what she's getting at. She feels that everything should feel like it should be a feeling. It comes out of nowhere, like your lived experience. Because she's one of those people who just, when she listens to the music, she just somehow, through her talent, naturally absorbed things. That is not to say that she didn't practice. She certainly did practice a lot. She went to music sessions all the time. She listened to a lot of music to really try to absorb what was going on. But the way she absorbs the music might not be like, okay, I don't know, Charlie Parker played an F sharp over this G minor chord, so I'm gonna explore this F sharp over G. It's for like us normal human beings, it would be F sharp over G minor. That's the major seventh. So what if I played a G minor arpeggio with the F sharp? That's the sound. For her, it's just that she hears an F sharp. She doesn't necessarily know it's F sharp, but it's like and she just has it like that. Some people are like that. I've met people like that. It's incredible. Good for them. So some people don't know that they're good in that way, and they don't understand the struggle that others have. And so you have to be very careful about getting advice from such supremely talented people. It worked for them, it might not work for you. And the one thing I want to say in this video, I'll just get straight to it, is to practice hard, but to assume that you have no talent, even though that's not likely. Most people have talent somewhere, It could be technique, it could be rhythm, it could be harmony, it could be ear training, etc. Maybe more than one thing, It's very rare to find someone who has zero talent whatsoever. But even such people, if given the correct instruction and they follow the instruction very strictly, they will progress. Anyone can improve their situation. So let's talk about health, weight training, or sports or something. Not everyone can be Michael Jordan. Not everyone can be Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I can certainly go to the gym and improve my health in 6 months. Anyone can do that, barring certain, external pre-existing conditions or whatever. Most of you who play guitar probably can play an F chord like this. Do you guys remember how hard this was? Have you guys seen beginners try to do this? It's almost impossible for them. Yet you all can do it. That means you all can progress. If you can just play an F chord like this. Oof, amazing. F chord. Beautiful. With the capo on the first fret, even better. F sharp. So there's this thing where a lot of people, I believe, are relying on their talent, even though it's not like Birelli or Mozart level talent. And that's a very, very dangerous thing. Because it can make you cocky, proud. I believe some people are at the same time proud and at the same time aware that they have insecurities. It can be both at the same time. And therefore, they rely on their talent to raise their level up to a certain point where, you can't say that it's necessarily bad, but it's not good either. So, for example, let's say in terms of technique, let's say Gypsy jazz technique. I don't have a pick with me right now, but let's say I play Gypsy jazz technique like this. The cape was confusing me. See, I gave that same example last week. I'm using the correct mechanics. Assume that I have a pick. The correct mechanics, but my sound is so very weak because I'm not putting. I'm not putting weight into the technique. But because my talent allowed me to just maybe even get the half-assed version of the technique, and I'm too lazy to spend, I don't know, however long it would take to do it really correctly, I end up never being able to do it correctly. And I've met so many people like that. They do things half-assed, and they can't be bothered to put in the effort to get to the right level. I think personally my biggest talent is that I have the talent of being honest with myself and of wanting something so badly that I'm going to fight so hard to do it. I have the talent to accept the truth. And that a lot of people are afraid of the truth. The truth that there are certain habits that will allow you to progress very quickly. As I said last week video, a lot of people just want to feel good. I'm one of those people. I want to feel good too. But I accept that I have to go through certain things in order to progress. And in order to progress, some of those things might be at some level unpleasant. But I have the mental stamina, the fortitude to accept such things and not let it get to me, not let it bother me. Because at the end of the day, as I said last week, there's such a deep sense of satisfaction of being able to accomplish something through your own sweat and tears. There is this term, casting pearls before the swine. And another talent of mine, if I can just say this, is that I'm so determined that I'm not afraid to ask for help. A lot of people, talented people, have this pride thing. They're afraid to ask for help. So I respect anyone who goes out there, who even contacts me for, asking me for advice or anything. I'm happy to help people who are sincere. But there are a lot of people out there, it's like they're saying, oh, I don't want to take lessons with so-and-so because I want to be self-taught. Here's the thing. A lot of self-taught players, as I said last week, would relish at the chance to get help. I know, like Stokela Rosenberg, at one point he was offered lessons by Philippe Catherine in Belgium, but he was so young and Philippe Catherine was living in Belgium, so this is kind of a problem. But trust me, a lot of players would love to get help. A lot of these people who are self-taught, and they did get help in different ways. It just mean It doesn't mean that they went to music school or they took one-on-one lessons, but they got advice here and there. Cause I certainly got so much advice from all these players that I got to work, that I've been so blessed to be able to work with. Birey Legrand gave me some great tips. Stokla Rosenberg gave me some tips. Vavao Adler in particular gave me a lot of help, and he didn't realize that the time that I spent with Vavao Adler actually had a huge impact on my playing, because he gave me small advice, little advice here and there. He probably doesn't even remember, that made me think a lot about the music. Dorado Schmidt as well. All these great players. I remember this about Vavo. Even recently, I actually messaged Vavo to thank him for the help that he gave me, and he wasn't even aware of it. So, as many of you know, I'm learning flamenco, and since I'm learning flamenco, of course, there's the money issue. I understand that. I wish I could live in Spain to spend 1 year or 2 years to learn flamenco or whatever, but I don't think I'm passionate about it enough to do that. We'll see what the future may hold for me. But in my life situation, it doesn't look very feasible. But I still found ways. I looked for online teachers. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I read a lot of articles, historical articles about flamenco music. I found a teacher in Tokyo. I found a teacher in Fukuoka. It's amazing. And I continue to take online lessons. And here's the very interesting thing about the casting pearls before the swine. So one of my teachers in Tokyo is actually kind of well known. He's around the world. Like, he has a YouTube channel that's very, very successful. And he's not Japanese. He moved to Japan because his wife is Japanese. And same with my teacher in Fukuoka. But I asked him, man, do you have a lot of students in Japan? He's like, no, most of them don't come to me for lessons. And for me, that is just the biggest waste ever. You have a master here, and there's actually interest in flamenco in Japan, but the fact that some people are not going to go to someone like him for lessons, it's a question of pride. I'm not gonna complain, but everywhere in the world I go to, people always, when they find out that I'm in town, like Dennis Chang's in town, they contact me, they ask for lessons, they ask to hang out with me so we can play together, so they can learn from me. I'm always, if time permits, I'm always happy to oblige to meet people and just to spend time, because I like to learn from others as well. Japan is probably the only country in the world where almost no one ever contacted me for advice. It's because Japanese culture works in a very, very specific way, which is why I'm very reluctant to want to teach in Japan, because it's the way Japanese people have a relationship with music is very different from anywhere else in the world. And that's another topic in itself. I'm not saying that such people don't exist. There are like 2 or 3 people who have asked for help, but like in general, it's kind of like it works in a very, very different way. So it's tough. So I talked to a lot of masters in different styles in Japan, and it's kind of like the case. A lot of people are not taking advantage of the gold that's available in front of them for very different reasons. There's this term, actually, you can look it up on Wikipedia. Look it up, big in Japan. It's an actual expression. So that's part of the culture. I'll have to make a video about this another time. I'm not complaining. I understand how things work in Japan, but it's something that I did notice. And the reason I don't take it too personally is because everyone else is experiencing the same thing. A lot of foreigners who have come to Japan, masters who come, they're not given the respect that they get elsewhere in other countries. So you see this flamenco thing, I started this in November. And I started taking lessons around December, January. The first month I was mainly self-taught because I was just experimenting to see where I wanted to go with it. But yeah, I went ahead because I truly want to progress. I'm going to find help wherever I can. And it's funny because sometimes I tell people, I have a guitar lesson tomorrow, so I can't meet you. And they're like, Dennis, you're taking guitar lessons? Yes, we can always learn. And I'm so thankful to have these resources available to me. I know how to take advantage of things. The expression, casting pearls before swine, does not apply to me. So let me tell you this. You really want to progress? You can. But you have to accept the truth. And you have to accept that it could be somewhat unpleasant to be able to progress. You have to do certain things that are not pleasant. I suggest that you watch my video from last week again. One of the reasons why it's hard for me to teach or to even give advice, because sometimes I feel that some people are not willing to hear the truth. It's too scary for them. But by accepting the truth, that's how you can progress really quickly. I've made videos about this before, but I always say in less than 3 years, if you know how to practice properly and you follow the correct formula, you can greatly improve your situation. Like, you can be a non-musician, never touched an instrument in your life before, and if you start right away, within 3 years, you can become what I call a decent musician. You can be a working musician. It doesn't mean that you're amazing, but you can play songs, you can play in time, you can play a gig, in tempo, you have a decent repertoire. And then in 5 to 6 years, you can be a very good musician. And for those of you who already play music to a certain level, in 1 year, you can completely change your playing. But whether it's worth it or not, I can't say, because in order to truly change your playing for the better, you will have to work very hard, and you will have to put in a lot of effort, and it's the kind of effort that might not always be pleasant. This flamenco thing, in the beginning, I was practicing 10 to 12 hours a day. I made a video about that. Then after, because obviously I have to make a living, I have to do some work, music work, I reduced the practicing to, between 2 hours to 6 hours a day. Just 6 months ago, I couldn't do this. This technique, I practice at least 6 hours a day, because you don't need a guitar to practice it. You can be doing outside. I was doing this all the time. In the metro, I'd just be doing. So I remember the other day, I had a metro ride, took the train to go see my teacher in the suburbs of Fukuoka. So it's a 30-minute ride. For 30 minutes, I was just doing slowly. And then when I took my first lesson with that teacher, he told me something that I wasn't sure I was doing, but he made me aware of it, and it made me feel a little bit discouraged. So I was practicing rasgueados like this. I was doing it by instinct. I think I was doing correctly, but he made me aware of a very important secret. So when you're doing rasgueados, let's say you do 5-finger rasgueados, or 4-finger rather, but the index is doubled. So it's pinky, ring, middle, and then index. When you do the index, what you have to do with the other fingers is do this instead of this. That's bad. Then you don't have enough time. So then what I did, I was a little discouraged, like, oh man, I spent so much time practicing, but I'm not sure I wasn't aware if I was doing that or not. But now I practice with intent and purpose. I practice with this idea that I'm not talented, that I'm going to go back to the basics. You have to have the humility to want to go back down to the beginner level again. So for a week, I practiced rasgueados again like this. Gradually increase the tempo again. 1 whole week of practice is 6 to 10 hours a day. Just that. Well, maybe not just that, but you can't let your pride get in the way. Is what I'm trying to say. Same thing with Alzapua. I was corrected so many times. I broke my nail the other day. It's not gonna work. The Alzapua. I have to file my nail. 1 second, guys. Okay, in the beginning, I thought I had the Alzapua thing down until many people corrected me. And it was such a struggle, So I had to go back to the drawing board many times over the past few months. I worked so hard on it until my teachers, multiple teachers, I didn't see just one person, told me, yes, you got it. So so hard on it, man. Really slowly. And in front of the mirror. And there's also, speaking of Alzapua, there's this thing in the bulerías, this chord. Check it out. me take off the capo. It's a G minor chord, 0, 3, 3, 0, but you put your middle finger here. This was impossible for me to do. Give it a try. I was tempted to just use the more conventional fingering like this, but the reason why you use this is so that you can jump from this to this to this to this. You see, my pride, if I had pride, I would have said, okay, screw this, I'm just going to do it this way, I'm going to cheat. But I saw that every flamenco player, serious flamenco player, was able to do this. So there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do it either. There's no reason why anyone shouldn't be able to do it if they're relatively healthy. So yeah, I practiced this chord until I could do it. I didn't let pride get in the way. So that's the thing. With certain talented people like Breuer-Lagren, they worked hard, but no one ever had to tell them anything or correct anything in general. For example, with the technique thing, a guy like Birelli just realized that using the wrist was going to be the ideal way, and their ears taught them, they let their ears dictate how the guitar should sound, and they figure things out that way. Birelli probably figured out at one point, like let's say you have an A minor chord, and someone plays like an A minor arpeggio. He realized that these series of notes, without knowing that it's called A minor arpeggio, these series of notes were compatible with this chord. And by just intuition, they realized, hey, so why don't I just do this? Bring it 2 frets down over this chord. It should be compatible. That's how a lot of these self-taught players, geniuses in those days, practice naturally, whereas other people might have to be taught such things. That's the key difference. So people who are talented, like supremely talented, they rarely feel the struggle because they were always practicing the right way. They worked hard, but they always had the right habit. They were lucky to have the right habits from the very beginning. They had the right habits without knowing that they had the right habits. I do remember asking Borelli, at one point in your life, was there ever a period in your studies when you were practicing where you felt, man, this is hard? You know what he said? He said, no, I think guitar was all music in general. Any instrument was always very easy for him. So this is very psychological in nature. The art of being able to progress, it's going to be on you to be very honest with yourself. If it doesn't feel like a struggle, then that's great. But you have to understand that in order to progress, you have to have the right habits. And if you're not talented enough to know what the right habits are, someone has to show you, and someone has to help you and correct you. And you have to be willing to ask for that help, and you have to be willing to tell your teacher to be very strict with you. And that's the same with Japanese. Again, I'll say this, I'll keep saying this. I do not believe that my Japanese is fluent, and I don't think my Japanese is anywhere close to being native. However, I can confidently say that my Japanese level is very advanced for the little time that I've been studying it, learning it. And as many Japanese people have told me time and time again, like compared to other foreigners, my Japanese is like closer to being sounding like a native spoken Japanese than a foreigner. You know, foreigners, they have accents or they make little mistakes in the how do you say, in Japanese we call this pitch accent. It's a pitched language, and a lot of foreigners are not paying attention to that. So they speak with like an American accent. Watashi wa Nihongo benkyou shite imasu. Whereas me, I'd be like, well, I wouldn't use watashi. I was like, Nihongo benkyou shite imasu. I mean, it's not that I think that I have a little bit of a foreigner accent, but it's very, very light. And if we keep the conversation fairly limited, I can fool complete strangers. They won't know that I'm not Japanese until I tell them that I'm not Japanese. Again, only in very certain controlled environments. Because again, as a foreigner, it's not easy, you know, to sometimes like my accent, my non-quote-unquote Japanese habits do come out sometimes. But the reason how I was able to address these issues is because when I took lessons with my teachers, I told them to very, very strictly correct any kind of unnatural inflections, pronunciations. Like, you know, the months. Like, for example, you say January, you might be tempted to say ichigatsu, but it's actually ichigatsu, ichigatsu. Listen carefully. Incorrect. Well, it depends on the dialect too, but ichigatsu. The Tokyo dialect is ichigatsu, ichigatsu, nigatsu, that's February. March is going to be sangatsu, It's not sangatsu, it's sangatsu. For January, gatsu, February, gatsu, March, gatsu. By the way, gatsu, the word gatsu is actually month. So ichi is one, first month, second month, third. So you have to be aware of such things. So I told my teachers to really, really go crazy with me, correct the crap out of me. And so too then with music, depending on how far you want to go, you don't have to be a perfect player or have like all the correct habits, um, but if you do, then you need to tell your teacher, hey, like don't be afraid to correct me at any given point. And as I said, this thumb thing I had trouble with, I got corrected for weeks. Actually, for like 2 months, 2 or 3 months. People kept telling me, no, Dennis, your thumb is not right. Your thumb is not right. It was very frustrating. It's kind of painful, but it was what I needed to hear. That's the thing. I have the formula to help anyone reach the next level. But there are certain habits, certain routines one has to follow. And if you're not able to follow it for whatever reason, or usually because of psychological reasons, then it's going to be much harder for you. And I think a lot of people are afraid of me because they know that I have the secret, but they're afraid to ask for it because if I tell them, it's going to hurt their pride. Especially, professional musicians, people who are quote unquote more advanced, who have certain weaknesses in their fundamentals. The thing is, this is a very funny thing. One of my teachers, flamenco teachers, says, Dennis, you're probably the first student to come to me not asking about solo stuff, but asking only about fundamentals, about accompaniment and rhythm. But yeah, because I believe that the foundation is the most important. That's another thing that I think, quote unquote, another talent of mine, that I strongly believe in the fundamentals before doing advanced things. I do have a friend who was very pissed off recently because someone else told them about give unsolicited advice. The unsolicited advice that they received was actually correct, but that person didn't want to hear it. So I understand. It's a choice you have to make in your life. You truly, really want to progress, then you have to face the hard fact. And so there are a lot of people who say they want to progress. They organize workshops. They do all these things and whatever. But it's all, again, as I said last week, it's a feel-good event. The truth is, if you want to get better, it's an objective thing. It's not a subjective thing. It's about doing this and that, and you follow the formula, you're going to progress. It's not about, hey, let's get together and practice. Oh, we had such a good practice session. I feel great about myself. High five. No. You want to progress? You face reality. That's the real truth. So I'm making this video not to piss anyone off, really, but to let people know that I actually understand this painful feeling that you're going to feel if you choose to accept the truth, because I go through it all the time, both in my Japanese studies and in my flamenco studies, in everything. The struggle is real. But as I said last week and today, even though the struggle is real, the pain is real, I can endure it. I'm motivated by the sense of satisfaction of having accomplished something. And I hope that these words can encourage you to accept the truth, if your goal is really to get better. And to take the time, it could be 6 months or even 2-3 months to correct certain issues, certain bad habits. That was the case with me with this thumb thing. And it's still a work in progress. The same thing with tremolo. I've been practicing it now for 3 months. Still am. And again, my teacher said no for like weeks. And only maybe a week or two ago did the teacher start saying, hey, it's getting there. It's getting there. It wasn't perfect, but it's way better than it used to be. It's still gonna maybe take another 3-4 months, and I have to practice very slowly. Oh. gradually increase the speed. Turn on the metronome, etc. There's also that thing that I was showing last week that's very, very hard for me, that I've been working on lately, that I just learned this morning, and I practiced an hour or two. It's so hard. Ah, damn. Sorry, this capo thing, it's the weather actually. Then, oh man. No. It's the weather, it's very bad. But you see how hard I've been practicing, struggling with this since this one. Let me just do it one more time. So, no. I'll do it without the capo. It's still buzzing. Oh. It's painful. So I'm doing out of time. Well, I'm not doing out of time. I'm doing in time, but it's like the tempo is, doing this because when I have trouble, I have to think. I have to slow things down. So from the A minor. Imagine doing this for several hours a day for a few months. That's what I went through with the tremolo too. In the beginning it was like this. Really, it was like that. Maybe even slower for a week or two. Now it's pretty much, if I can get it perfectly, it's probably at this tempo. Now it's no problem at this tempo. Now it's just really getting up to speed. And actually, one of the bad habits I had in the beginning with the tremolo was I was doing with the thumb like this. Look at my arm. Like I thought my arm was always going down like that. And my teacher was like, that's a wasted movement. Just use the thumb. Let it fall down naturally without the weight of the arm. So I just practiced this for like a month actually. The whole month of January was just this. And then trying on the other string. To really minimize the use of the arm. And then back to the actual musical example. The other struggle is to do rest strokes and free strokes with this. If you do a rest stroke and then a free stroke, what it was doing was causing my tempo to do this. It was down, which is wrong. It needs to be ta 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 ta, consistent as possible. etc. It's so hard. It's hours of practice. And that's why I've said this before. Practicing is not for everyone. Progressing is not for everyone. And you have to choose where you want to progress. If you're okay with certain habits, that's fine. It's normal. It's human. No one is perfect like a robot. You have to choose your battles. But the act of correcting certain habits or developing good habits, it requires a lot of practice. You have to be willing to do not only one thing, but very few things for a very long period of time, up to 6 months, up to a year. I've been at this tremolo thing since January. I certainly progressed a lot, but it's still not there. I'd say I'm about 55% there. Maybe I'll report back in September. I'll make another video. See if I can get the tremolo down by then. That is, if I continue to practice it. And also that other thing that I just learned this morning. It's by Sabicas. He's a Gypsy flamenco guitar player. Sabicas, and the tune is called. It's a dance form called faruca. It's faruking me up. But the piece is called Con Salero y Garbo. So with salt and pepper. CONSALEROYGARBO. It's around 1 minute and 30 seconds. You can hear this part where it goes. Okay, I'll put the capo on again, even though it's gonna buzz. But it's this thing, man. I'm gonna practice again. I want to practice in front of you guys, just to show you how much I struggle. Oh man. There we go. If you want to check out the original recording. Con Salero y Garbo by Sabicas. I hope this video may help you somehow, motivate you, give you the courage to fight for it and to accept the truth and to really take advantage of all the resources. Don't be proud of yourself. Ask for help if you need to ask for help. Find teachers, multiple teachers even.